Today we're going back in time. Nintendo or Sega Genesis?
At least you kept the calendar invite this time. Hey,
somehow you got the invite.
No.
Yes,
Before you even start.
Whatever.
Before you even start. The stunt that you pulled last week.
Yeah, it was pretty. What stunt?
Unacceptable.
It was perfect. You were busy.
You canceled.
You were out.
That is not true.
I'm fairly certain. I looked at your calendar. It said something about being busy, so I just went.
That is not. My calendar always says busy.
Well, whose fault is that?
People like you. But even worse, right, is when my wife says to me, I saw the latest episode of your podcast, and Josh said you weren't in the office.
You said busy gone. I don't know how to interpret you're a busy man.
It never says gone. They're meetings.
I'm pretty sure I saw
and
gone
by
somewhere
the way,
in there.
By
and
the
it was
way,
blocked off, and there was colors everywhere on it.
This podcast is already scheduled. It's already scheduled.
Somewhere there, but it was busy. It said busy next to mine.
So you deleted it as if you had deleted the podcast, and then I come to find out that you were just having it anyways, telling everybody that you were right when you were clearly never right.
I was pretty right about that. I mean, it said busy. Am I right?
No.
Let's give the audience what they're actually after. More of me and my favorite and the winner of the two. That's right. The Nintendo Entertainment
System. 100%. Hands down.
How many days and weekends did you spend putting in the cartridge, blowing off the front of it because, and then putting it in if it didn't work right, and jumping right into it?
You go really slow.
You have to, right? Because if you didn't get, and the spring was busted, it would really mess with that cartridge.
Or you really push it in slow and make sure you feel the connection on the back.
Right.
And then you push it slow.
Click, and then it'd turn on. Didn't you hate it when you'd go and turn it on and start giving that screen that was just like, it started a little bit and go,
like it would have like the weird colors and the lines to it.
Or the audio would go crazy on it.
Yeah, those were back in the day.
You guys will never know the struggles.
Sega didn't really, I never really had that problem with Sega.
Well, that is the one thing I will say about Sega Genesis is you put in the game, it played.
Yeah.
Every time. I just would
the
always
games just weren't as cool.
Yeah, and Sega actually, I think, made better games.
The only one I remember is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Contra? Wasn't Contra?
No, Contra was a Nintendo game. Contra was a Nintendo game. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
Yeah, A, B, BA, start, whichever it won.
I'm right. And by the way, that was a Nintendo game.
Which one? Contra?
Yeah.
It was a good game. What about Madden? Madden didn't even exist. It was like, what, Tecmo Bowl?
Tecmo Bowl was
as soon as you got Bo Jackson's, because Tecmo turned into Bo Jackson. As soon as you had Bo Jackson on your team, he could run for a touchdown every play.
There were two things. So whoever designed Tecmo Bowl just basically loved the Raiders. Because there were two things. Number one, so there was, if you recall, there were 2 run plays and 2 pass plays.
Yes.
Now, then there were passing teams like the Dolphins where they only had 1 run play.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Gosh. Nostalgia.
But the Raiders had Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson. So when you ran 1 run play, it would be Marcus Allen.
Right.
And when you ran the other play, it would be Bo Jackson. Right. And so why would you ever run Marcus Allen? No offense to Marcus Allen because he was a great football player, but Bo Jackson is Bo Jackson.
Bo knows football.
So on offense, it was basically impossible if you were at all good at playing the game to be tackled.
Yeah, you could be right on top of him.
But here's the thing that most people don't know.
Tecmo Bowl?
On that Raiders team, the nose tackle was Howie Long. In the game, it was Howie Long.
Yes.
And Howie Long was considered in the game the best defensive lineman. The best linebacker in the game was Mike Singletary on the Bears.
Bears, yeah.
Okay. I don't think I ever played as a cornerback, so I don't know who that would have been. But on the offensive line, it was Howie Long. So here's how you win every game. You receive the kickoff, right? And then you score with Bo Jackson. Then you kick the ball off right? And then you select Howie Long. And because, unlike games today where you can move before the snap, right? In that game, you couldn't move.
Nope.
So what you would do is you would hold the controller and you would hold down.
The whole time.
Okay? And as soon as they would snap the ball, you'd hit dive. And this is what would happen.
Right.
This is what happened because there would be a fraction of a second where it would allow you to move because you were holding down, right? So Howie Long would slightly turn down and then you'd hit dive and they would dive right at the quarterback and sack him before he could even hand the ball off.
That game used to drive me nuts because my cousins.
I hate the Raiders. I'm just saying that video games are mathematical equations and that's how you beat the developer's crappy mathematical equation.
Hold down.
Hold down, push dive.
Press dive. I used to get in actual fights.
No, the best Nintendo game was Zelda.
Which one? The first one, right? Because when I tried to play the sequel, I couldn't even get past like the second level.
Why?
I don't
the
know.
one where it was like vertical.
Yeah, or horizontal as you ran across.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
that.
I don't know why.
It was the only game.
Why?
It was the only Zelda game that's made like that. You're terrible. That game was easier than the first one.
Obviously, I wasn't good at it. I got sick of it. I think it's just I didn't like it, and I went back to the.
It was different. It was different.
But
see, here's the thing: when you beat the first Zelda, and it started over,
yes,
everything was different.
Yeah.
How many other games in 1984 were like that?
Oh man, it was that long. The answer is not. I'm thinking.
Very few.
I was going to say that.
If you beat Contra, and you start over, right, and you have the spread weapon already, and then you just beat it faster. Right. It's the same thing.
Double Dragon didn't do that. And that was one of my faves.
Double Dragon was an impossible game.
I actually beat Double Dragon. I had a hard time.
I didn't say I didn't beat it. I'm saying it was impossible. The game I never beat was what was that other Ninja Gaiden?
Ninja Gaiden. I was going to say that was
could never beat that game. I think the developers made it so it was impossible.
I don't think I beat the first one. Like the second one and the third one.
The other game I never beat was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I couldn't get out of the.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that where you had all 4 characters?
Yes.
But like when you beat a level, their health didn't reset. And then you could like switch to a different one, right?
It was awful hard.
It was super hard.
Right.
It was super hard. I never beat that one.
So how do you feel now about them doing remakes?
I don't really care.
An old game.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, in the day and age that we live in, give me something that somebody has come up with in the last 4 years that's new. Because they don't.
If I made the argument, there would only be VR games.
Yeah, but they're still based on old things, right? Like any movies that come out are all just remakes of old movies we used to watch when we were younger.
They never did that with Star Wars.
Don't even get me started. They sure did.
He's in a mood today.
They sure did with Force Awakens. That's just a reskin of
the first one,
A New Hope.
Yeah,
it's just way more terrible. And all the characters are terrible.
Like having wooden dolls for actors.
Terrible, just awful. And then the other 2 movies, as far as I'm concerned, by Roundhead and then Midget Guy, like they're terrible movies as well, and they're awful. So no. That doesn't count.
I'm waiting.
I am kind of excited to see the new Top Gun.
Me too. I was just going to say Tom Cruise has not aged a day since 1994.
Yeah, we'll see.
But he has
we'll see how it goes.
Teeth.
We'll see how it goes.
Goose is okay.
It's a good movie. Goose is not okay.
Goose is not okay.
But I seriously don't remember. I seriously don't remember a lot of Sega Genesis games.
No, and I either had to make a choice. It was either Nintendo or Sega Genesis because it's not like I could have both as a kid. There were some family and households that did. And they had a PC, and I hated them for it. But all I had was Nintendo.
I remember Sonic the Hedgehog. All the Star Wars games that I played were Nintendo games, like Nintendo or Nintendo 64 games.
I couldn't tell you. A Sega. So it shows you the clear winner.
Was Mortal Kombat a Sega game?
I think the original might have been.
That might have been one.
Which is
Street Fighter was a Nintendo game because I remember throwing that friggin' controller. Stupid.
Yeah. I had a friend who would actually get angry at that game, pull it out of the Nintendo, chuck it across the room. He had some anger issues.
Yeah.
Pick it up, slam it back into the Nintendo as hard as he could, close it, and turn right back on.
Did you have the...
Way to go, Nintendo.
Did you have the... Okay, so remember, today, see, that people don't know. Kids today, they don't know.
They got it easy.
But you can go on your computer, right, and you can look up guides I mean, you get stuck in a video game today, you just Google the solution and somebody has posted a video of the solution. Right? That's not how it used to be.
No, we didn't have the internet.
And if you solved something, you were loath to tell your friends how to solve it. Cause I just marveled in their misery. Loved it. It was like, you guys, I can't believe.
Then you show them the save game?
You saw me do it when you were talking about the second Zelda.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly where you got stuck.
Yeah. It was awful.
It's towards the end, and you couldn't figure out how to get in this little sandy area. You couldn't figure out how to get the dungeon open. It's because you failed. You failed 4 levels earlier to listen to what was actually said. So I used to have a notebook, and I would draw out the maps, like as I would expose them. I build my own little guide. Would have my own little guide. But here's the thing: do you remember when they came out? It was like a cheat code enhancer, and you plugged the game into it.
Game Genie.
The Game Genie.
Yeah, I had Game Genie. Loved Game Genie.
And then you could just you could
hack
just
the
get
whole game.
For
like hacking a game before hacking.
For Final Fantasy, you could just give yourself infinite amounts of coins.
Absolutely.
And then you could start
straight
the game.
Straight 9's health, straight 9's damage, all the way. And you could have a party of all red wizards, and we all know how great they were.
Red wizards. You're way cooler if you did it all with black wizards.
That too. They'd have been even tougher.
Their spells were cooler looking.
I loved the Game Genie.
I know, it was crazy.
It was a lot of fun. I remember when that came out, I was like, you can change things?
Did you ever beat Mike Tyson?
Punch Out? Yep. With and without the Game Genie. Of course, there was a Game Genie where you could do one punch knockouts for everybody. It was just boo!
Right. Boo! Yeah, so I'm going to have to go with Nintendo.
Okay, solid choice.
Because I think I agree with you, because Sega was a 16-bit system.
Yes, and
right? So the graphics were a little bit better. Right? But I know I had one.
Yeah.
But I might have gotten like the second generation. Because honestly, actually no, 2 games. I remember Sonic the Hedgehog and my sister and I used to play The Lion King. That movie was great when we were kids. That was freaking great.
You know what really blew me away was when I got a turbo button on a controller.
Oh yeah, that's totally cheating.
Oh, it was great because then you played the Olympic Games and you had to mash the button as fast as you can. And if you held that down and did it 100 times, your person would pole vault like 1,000 feet in the air.
Yep.
You'd wait, and then they'd come down. And be like, oh, gold medal. It was messed up. Baseball games. God, they were so much fun.
Yeah. So I remember Tecmo Bowl. We did have a baseball game where you could pitch, but they weren't like real baseball teams. They were made up baseball teams.
Because they didn't have any licensing.
I just remember that I always played with the team that had like the sidearm pitcher, and then Oko or whatever was the 4th hitter, and he could just hit a home run every single time. It was hilarious. Those were the days.
You guys will not know what it's like. We were there for the dawn of video games. We were.
That's true.
We were there for the dawn of video games.
Well, because we also had Atari in our house.
The 2600.
And I had a Commodore 64 in my house.
We didn't.
We had a Commodore 64.
We did have the Atari 2600.
Yeah.
Remember when my mom would say, you want a game? It costs $20. Are you crazy?
I remember my dad's cousin was visiting, and we were talking about the Nintendo. She was looking at it, and she had heard about this amazing game, Tecmo Bowl.
Really?
And so she and I went to Richmond Gordman. Remember Richmond Gordman's? Fancy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? Went to Richmond Gordman's, and we walked in, and she bought that game for us. It was $50.
$50. Man, back then, I mean...
Back in the 80s, $50...
was a lot of money.
I mean, by the time I was getting paid for doing chores, it was like $1 a week.
Right. So it's going to take me a year.
It's going to take me more than a year with taxes to actually save up for that. And she just showed up and she was like, "Yeah, I'll buy that for you." Like, oh, this is so great. This is awesome.
Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Came with the system. Duck Hunt.
I know. Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt was fun. But I'm going to go with Nintendo.
All right,
sure.
Me too. My buddy CJ, he knows who he is. He took 13th in the world in Street Fighter back in 1995-ish.
Totally separate conversation.
But he would make the claim that Sega Genesis was there. I know he watches. Because
again, I think if I actually had a better recollection, I have a more of, look, in this dome of
furriness,
nothing left, right? I have more nostalgic memories of my Nintendo games than my Sega games. But that doesn't mean I know I had one, right? And I know I played it all the time. And I guarantee you, I think Mortal Kombat was a Sega game, and I played that game like it was going out of style.
Who didn't want to see fatalities? Finish him.
But Sega probably also had the first like Bill Walsh football, and my buddy and I used to play that all the time.
They got a lot of licensing. They made good games. They just ended up losing the console battle down the road because they stopped making consoles.
Well, yeah.
And now they just make games. I mean,
yeah. But again, Legend of Zelda, the first Legend of Zelda, hands down my favorite game of all time.
Guys, if you like this content or want to talk about the video games you enjoyed, put it in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out ourcommunitynow.com, where we kind of run with this kind of stuff. Even our YouTube channel, we do have a Permission to Game show that talks about these video games that you like, but it's all the new stuff, which there's no nostalgia in that.
We had a viral news story hit last week. You should go check it out.
It is. It's good stuff,
it's about the CDC.
It's all over the place. And we're the...
It's good information.
One of the few to talk about
We were the first.
Ourcommunitynow.com. Check it out. I'm Josh. He's... Yep.
Back.
You were never gone. You were busy. Anyway, saying, my wife hates this, and we'll see you soon.